This is The Extra Point, an Arizona's Family Originals podcast, sponsored by your Phoenix Suns.
We are looking forward to watching the Diamondbacks this weekend in the Heartland, and one of the great places to watch a ball game, which is St. Louis. So let's check in with Rich Waltz, who's going to call the game for Apple TV. And so, there's so much conversation about like the future of baseball and broadcasting. Do you feel like you're kind of right there in the middle of it, the future? You're going to be showing us the future on Friday night.
I will say this, and thanks for the invite, Mark, to be on the show. I will say this. These Apple shows are a lot of fun because MLB Network produces it. Apple TV is also involved in the production as well. And there's a lot of cool toys and cameras. They give us a lot of resources. We get to go places, see things, and hear things that other telecasts in Major League Baseball don't get often. So, yeah, and in terms of it being on Apple TV as well, I think that's becoming more and more normal in the sports, whether it's the NFL, now the NBA, and obviously with Major League Baseball. So these shows are a lot of fun. And tomorrow night in this environment, I'm actually looking I'm sitting right across from Busch Stadium, and my hotel window is like, I'm looking over like down the left field line. So this place it's a holiday weekend, which means throughout the Midwest, people come from all over to spend the weekend drinking Budweiser and watching Cardinals baseball.
And listening to your call is downtown St. Louis. What is it? There's Mike Shannon Steakhouse. There's the Bowling Hall of Fame. How does one who's getting ready to call a game for a national audience prepare on a Thursday night in St. Louis?
Well, I'll tell you, when you're doing a game like this, a national game every week, you start to prepare a couple weeks out. You start to watch teams. I've watched a lot of the Diamondbacks this week. And as agonizing as it was in the last two games on the road against the Dodgers, so you start to read the local papers and follow the team and listen on radio, watch on television, because Burton and Bob are terrific on TV, and so that's when the preparation starts. Like tonight, I'll probably on MLB.TV. I'll probably watch some of the Cardinals and some of the Diamondback games just to see who's who. But you follow and you read, and then tomorrow when you do a national game, we get access to both managers. So we'll sit down with both managers for 15 or 20 minutes with Torre and talk about his team, who's hot, who's not, how does his bullpen shake out. When does Justin Martinez get back in that bullpen? Questions like that, which are of interest, because look, it's a national show, so it's exclusive. There'll be Diamondback fans who are watching, going, "Where's Bird? Where's Bob?" And so Ryan Spielborgs and I have to do our best. In fact, I'm not a total stranger to Diamondback fans. I think it was 2022. Steve got sick and I jumped in. Scott Geyer, the great executive for the Diamondbacks, gave me a call, and I was the voice of the Diamondbacks for like a week and a half. And they had a great road trip. They won 3 of 4 here, and I think they swept the Marlins in Miami. So I've been around them a little bit, and once I had a taste of it in 22, I obviously followed them in 23, and that was just a magical season for them. And it's fun to see them, the guys that you saw coming up start to grow. Perdomo certainly is the guy that's really blossoming this year in my eyes. It's great to see them, have success. I kept thinking when I was prepping for this, man, the Diamondbacks, I thought they made the playoffs last year. And it's like I went back and it's like, oh, yeah, 3-way tie for the second and third wild card. And the numbers didn't go their way. So they played like a playoff team last year, and obviously 23 they went to the World Series. So they're playing the toughest division in baseball. I don't think there's any question the National League West is the very best. And the 2 losses on the road to the Dodgers were heartbreakers, not just because they lost them in the fashion they lost them, but you lose to the first place team. That's instead of climbing within a game and a half or 2 games of first place. you sit 5 back going into this series. But it's a long season. They're working stuff out. They're going to get some arms back in the bullpen. So I think they're in a pretty good spot right now. It'll be an interesting series here against a Cardinal team that's been really good up until they lost the last two of their series here. But they've been playing really well. I had the Cardinals a couple weeks on Apple, and this is a team on the move.
Well, and it's interesting because Paul Goldschmidt was part of the furniture around here, and then he leaves, and you think the Cardinals might take a step back. But Nolan Gorman, who's actually from the Valley, played his high school baseball in Arizona. We catch up with him from time to time. Seems to be swinging a hot bat. With the Diamondbacks, the bullpen, I mean, I think everybody's bullpen, it seems like in Major League Baseball, is an issue. Maybe except for the Giants. They seem like they have like 19 arms down there this year. Does every team, I mean, as you go from town to town, is everybody kind of whining and griping about their bullpen?
I had the Astros last week, and they're really good. Their rotation's iffy, but their bullpen has been lights out. Texas's pen is, there's a work in progress. And I think, just looking at bullpen ERAs from last year, which was not good for the Diamondbacks, total ERA last year was not good for the Diamondbacks. Just looking at ERAs last year in bullpens at the end of the season to this year, they're higher this year. That usually works itself out. And a lot of it is injuries and getting guys back in roles. When you lose, with Martinez and Puck not in the pen, what it does is it pushes everybody forward in line, and they're in roles that maybe they're not ready for, or maybe not comfortable for, or aren't performing in. So and I believe Puck's a further way than Martinez
60-day injured list.
Yeah. So you can't count on him in the next 3 weeks or so. But when you add a proven and a really good bullpen arm, what it does is it lets everybody take a step back, and sometimes it settles everything down. Because I think starting pitching, Zach Gallen's been a much better pitcher on the road than at home. He probably doesn't want the windows open there next time he pitches, by the way. But I think that there's enough in the rotation. I think that if the bullpen settles down, then things will be better once you get to June and July.
Well, and I think there's some genuine concern here in town that Zach Gallen, in a contract year and the way he pitched, I mean, he went to New York and was just lights out, and he has done so much for Arizona and pitching to the World Series, and was perfect through into the seventh inning in game 5 against the Rangers in the 2023 World Series. But he's probably going to cash in at some point. There's some concern if the Diamondbacks are 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They might have to look at making a move at the deadline. If the bullpen isn't fixed, would they spin him for some sort of arms in the bullpen? Big picture perspective on Zach Gallen from a national guy, your national perspective. How is he seen through the eyes of the baseball world?
Well, let me pull out my Zach Gallen homework here. I think his ERA right now is an anomaly, it feels like. If he can pitch at home like he's done on the road, then if he straightens it out at home, he should be okay. His last 3 years, 43 and 19, a 3.20 ERA.
That's phenomenal.
That's really, really good.
Yeah.
So, with a guy like that with a track record, he's only 29. You give him time and see if he works it out. I mean, look, the good news is Corbin Burns is pitching well. He got hit by the Teoscar Hernandez home run yesterday afternoon. Merrill Kelly looks like Merrill Kelly. So, look, the knuckle curve. He's a really interesting guy in that he doesn't throw 98, 99. Not the Diamondbacks don't have a whole bunch of those guys, but Zach is just really a good pitcher. One of there's 2 things I think that has led to some of the success in the rotation. One was Brent Strom's influence. One of the best pitching coaches in the last 25, 30 years in baseball. I think he had a big influence on a lot of those arms. But I really like the fact that Dan Herron is the pitching strategist for the Diamondbacks and goes over game plans and stuff, because I was around him a little bit when he had a brief year in Miami, and just was so impressed with the way he attacked hitters. he always seemed to be a step ahead of the hitters. And so I love the fact that the Diamondbacks front office is a really progressive, smart, and into stuff like that. And so the fact that Dan, works with the starters on their game plans is really cool. Look, it's early. Give Zach, get to July, and then maybe you'll get a better idea. The bigger picture that you brought up, though, is what happens if you get to July and the Diamondbacks are where they are now, just 2 games over 500 in a division where the Dodgers, the Padres, and even the Giants are ahead of them. Our middle ground in baseball sometimes is quicksand. Are you good enough to win and contend? Do you take a step back and reload and add to what your 2026 team might look like? Mike Hazen's as good as there is, the front office, the scouting department, all of that. So I think you wait until you get to mid-July to see where everybody is in the division, see how healthy you are, see what's trending on your team and elsewhere before you make a decision on, or do you stay or do you go? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you mixing and matching it at that point?
Yeah, and we are so prisoners of the moment here. So you lose 2 or 3 to the Dodgers, and you don't sweep the Rockies, and all of a sudden the sky is falling.
It's like you do everything right. I mean, Carroll's home run in the 10th is huge, and it's like it's the Dodgers. They're the evil empire now in the National League West, and it's yesterday a 1-0 lead doesn't hold up. That's not as painful as giving up those runs, the 3 runs in the 10th inning on Tuesday night. But you win those 2 games, and maybe Teoscar just gets under it a little bit. You win those 2 games, and the conversation we're having is completely different, right? I mean, it could change next week. They win those 2 games against the Dodgers. It's like, wow, man, the Diamondbacks are 28-22, and they're right behind the Dodgers, and the Padres are right in there too. And so let's get to July and see where we are, I think, before the really big picture discussion.
And it just occurred to me, because the Diamondbacks were walked off the other night in Los Angeles, and somebody across the newsroom said, "Walk me off again." Is that your call? Is that your walk-off call from Marlins? What was didn't you have like a signature walk-off call?
I said, "I'm out of here. Drive home safe."
Okay.
No, I think in a big ending, it was ball game.
Okay.
With a big exclamation point. But walk-off, yeah. I mean, if it's a walk-off, you punch it with a walk-off, throw in a ball game, let the crowd go. Yeah. There was I'm trying to think, in that run that I had with the Diamondbacks in 22. I think Pavin Smith.
Yeah, you got us going. You got we're gonna give you credit for getting them to the World Series, by the way, because you got in there. It was wretched in like 21, and then all of a sudden things started to turn around right when you kind of showed up and brought the sunshine.
I would give Gonzo all the credit because I worked those games with Gonzo. Pavin Smith hit like a huge home run in an afternoon game at Miami. And that's as excited as I've been. There was a lot of exciting moments. They went 3 of 4 here in St. Louis, and then they swept Miami. And that Pavin Smith home run, as I remember, was huge because he's from there. He's from, just north of, I think he's Palm Beach or not Vero Beach, but maybe Jupiter, right around there.
Yeah, and he did it again this year. He had another big time. I mean, he loves hitting in Miami. For you, I mean, we asked you to kind of pull out your homework there, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot with Zach Gallen, but what is the preparation? That's the card.
My Diamondbacks.
How many pins do you have?
When you're doing a game on television, there you go, kids.
Do your homework, kids.
There you go. And when you're doing a game on television, especially these games, they're so involved with Trisha Whitaker on the sideline, features, cool StatCast stuff, Spilly's going on. You don't have a lot of time to look stuff up because, as a baseball announcer, a lot of them have like media guides and stuff like that. And I learned early on television, it's such a team sport. You're involved with the truck, you're involved with your analyst, you're involved with your sideline announcer. So I'll do a card like this that's got, like Diamondbacks, what they did last year, a little bit about Torrey, coaching staff, front office, payroll stuff, and a little thumbnails on each player, awards they've won, little notes, what they did in the off season and stuff. Typical scorecard to score the game, and then a little hitter note card like this. Like I just started this on the plane. Moreno's, had that great at bat against the Dodgers. He's
longest in D-back history, right?
Yeah, I know. Suarez is a bunch of homers, but most of them are at home. But he's good against Michaelis of the Cards. He struggled defensively this year, which is weird because I saw him in Seattle in 23. He was so good defensively, and that may be just small sample size theater. And we got a ton on Perdomo. I mean, we'll do a lot tomorrow night on Perdomo. When we go into our production meeting earlier in the week, we kind of look at players who we like. And Perdomo to me is a really, really good player that nobody knows about because he hasn't splashed, big. But the jump that he's made this year, obviously in 23 was a reserve in the All-Stars, but this year he's unbelievable. He's like tied for 5th in the National League in WAR. All players, not shortstops. On base, he's slugging better. And we just love the stories of how he showed up and he just drove everybody nuts. And he wouldn't stop talking. And a lot of the veterans were like, who is this guy? and Torey Lovullo was really hard on him. So the really thing that surprised me about that whole story about and Christian Walker was quoted in there. I just saw Christian last week. The thing that really cracked me up was the guy, because a lot of the veterans are salty and they're like, get this guy away from me. And this is, was Bumgarner took a liking to him, which if there's a crustier guy in baseball at that time than Bumgarner, I'm not sure who there is, but Bumgarner was like taken aback and then was like, I like this guy. And everybody has come around to like him. And now all of a sudden, over the last 2-3 years, he's become a team leader. And now he's becoming a star in terms of defense. He's one of the best defensive shortstops in the game. In terms of offense, he's one of the best offensive shortstops in the game right now. And people don't talk about him enough. So like tomorrow, we're got a ton of stories on him. We'll do a bunch of StatCast stuff on his hitting, on his defense, and all of that. It's an opportunity for a national audience to shine a spotlight on this guy. And I think he's mic'd up tomorrow.
Oh, that's going to be great.
I think, we won't talk to him, but I think we'll be able to get sound from him throughout the game, which is something we do every week. And with him, as much as he talks, it should be fun.
Well, and did you see the interview he did in New York a couple weeks back where he said he had frog's blood and then everybody gave him grief in the clubhouse because you got like cold-blooded can get the job done in a big situation. And they're like, dude, branding opportunity that could have been snake's blood. So he had to wear that one, but just a hilarious guy.
Yes.
So I don't know. Throw that maybe in the hopper.
But the difference is because every team usually has one of these guys that has just a bigger than life personality, is all of that. The difference here is he's turning into a great player. And when you get the personality with the great player and now the ability to lead, I mean, the stuff that he said to Suarez about, hey man, you might think about trying harder. You might think about working out harder. It's something that Lovullo had said to Suarez. But for Perdomo, who's, Suarez has been in the league a lot longer than he has, for Perdomo to say it and for Suarez to think about it and say, this guy really helped me. He helped push me. And I'm a better guy for it right now. That's a difference. There's a big difference between that personality and you have that personality, leadership, and great player. And I think that's what the Diamondbacks have. And it's really smart that they extended him. I think he just signed like a 4-year extension.
Yeah. No, he's great. And actually, he's responsible for one of my broadcasting bucket lists. He poured a beer over my head in the clubhouse during the playoffs, the playoff run of 2023.
That's okay. You know what? That's an honor and a privilege. And you should want beer on your head after every season.
Have you had it? Have you been in that situation?
Yes. Well, So not with the Marlins. I mean, my 13 years in Miami, they never got to the postseason. They had some really good teams, entertaining teams. They never had the rotation depth to get them into 90 win territory. But my first job at the majors, I was the pre and post and fill in play by play for the Mariners from like 94 through '04. So there were all kinds of opportunities in the clubhouse to get the beer and the champagne on your head, and just don't wear good shoes is throw the Lululemons on and maybe a sport fabric shirt. Don't put the good shoes on and enjoy it. So I had that happen a lot. And in the minor leagues too. I think all my stops, the teams went to the playoffs and twice they won the league championship. In the minor leagues, it's Budweiser. It's not, brute champagne. It's more like, Miller Lite, but it's still sweet when that happens.
What is your advice to young broadcasters out there looking to blaze a trail like you blazed? And a footnote here, you're one of my broadcasting influences. I was in Medford, Oregon, and Spokane, Washington, so Mariners were on every night. I was watching your every move, trying to get better. So thank you for helping get me here.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Hopefully you picked up the good habits, not the bad ones. I get a lot of calls from young broadcasters. In fact, I was on a Zoom about a month ago with the Arizona State group they do a section on play-by-play. And I think there were probably like 20, 22, 23 students in the audience, and they had great questions. And the advice is, whether you're in high school or you're in college, just get experience. You're going to suck, but that's good. That's good because you have to approach it like an athlete. How do I get better? I'm going to suck, but that's okay. Everybody does when they start. It's the process of getting better. And the only way you can do that is by getting reps, is by getting on the air and do everything. Don't just do play-by-play, host a talk show, do sports on television, do radio updates, host pregame shows, because all of those things will make you better. And anytime you're on the air is an opportunity to get better. And that's really the only thing you can control in this business. It's extremely competitive. It's political. I've tasted that a few times. But the only thing you can control is, are you getting better? Are you taking a step forward and working at it? And I was lucky. I didn't go to school for this. I majored in shortstop. I was a college player at UC Davis, pre-law, decided to, at the end, not to go to law school, wanted to get to the big leagues, thought broadcasting would be fun, didn't have any idea how to get there, and talked my way into a minor league hockey job in Spokane. And that got me doing minor league hockey, minor league baseball, small college football, basketball. That was great for me because it was my graduate school and I could do, 200 events a year, get better and better and better, and slowly climb the ladder to AA, AAA, regional television. And that was the climb. But the one thing was, get better, work on something specifically every time you're on the air. Don't be afraid to get critiqued by people you respect and whose opinion you respect. And don't take that critique as criticism. Take it as an opportunity to improve and get better.
And now, being on the Apple Game of the Week, I'm curious about the technology. Are the headphones just like the best headphones you've ever had?
Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it's like the first time I did an Apple game was 2 years ago. This is my third season of hopping in and doing games. And I remember the just being so dazzled by the graphics. The graphics are like the same ones on your iPhone, right? They're kind of iPhone graphics. The Megalodon camera that follows players all around the field shoots in like a very cinematic fashion. So just the way they see the game and the way we do the game is a little bit different, and it's fun. The people in the truck, producer directors are MLB Network people who are really, really good at doing baseball. The teams give us great latitude and great access for on-field interviews, mic'd up players, cameras where we want to put cameras and stuff. So I love the fact that Royce Dickerson is the head at Apple TV for sports. He wants to push the envelope. Chris Pfeiffer is the head of production at MLB Network. Fife has done World Series and huge games and big stuff and knows what great TV looks like. And that combination is really fun on a Friday night when you're able to do things and see things and go places that most telecasts can't do. And I get it that, Diamondback fans and Cardinal fans are going to go, man, I wish our announcers were here. But we will be able to go places that the home team announcers may not go in talking about teams and with honesty and big picture stuff and all of that. So yeah, it's really cool. The Apple stuff is like, even the music has a different vibe to it than a regular baseball game.
Oh, can't wait to watch. Before you get out of here, over under on if we will see the video, and it will be discussed, of Ketel Marte talking to his bat last week. Not sure if you've seen that. And then Torey Lovullo's dad being the executive producer of Hee Haw and a potential Hee Haw clip.
Yeah, Torey's got a really good background. I don't know if we'll have Hee Haw. Who are the hosts of, like, Roy and Chet, or Roy and Chip, or?
Yeah, I think I definitely know Roy.
Roy Clark.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Anyways, I just can't imagine little Torey Lovullo in there in cowboy boots. I mean, there's got to be a clip of him
with
somewhere.
Like a straw hat and a piece of straw in his mouth and stuff. Yeah, well, they pull a lot of stuff off of social media during the week and use that and roll it into games and stuff like that, which makes it a little more unique and fun as well. So if we don't have it, I'll ask Trisha and our producer to find Ketel's bat talking last week.
There you go. I could just, you know what? Can I be in the production meeting? I have lots of ideas. No, we're here every night. Check us out on AZ Family if you want to see some recaps and me getting like visibly grouchy on the air because they lost in a walk-off the other night. But we're excited to hear your broadcast. Just tell us a little bit where we can find you on social media and where we can find Apple TV for those who are just learning about this.
Social media. So I try to stay out of most stuff at social media.
Smart.
But in terms of promoting the game, I think you can watch the whole first inning on X. They stream it live and then tell people, hey, the game is on over at Apple TV. So I've got an account there. Instagram, my 24-year-old daughter gave me a good tutorial in Instagram, so I'm starting to throw stuff on Instagram as well. Those are kind of the two social media places for me. And I'm just a picture guy. Send a picture in. Hey, we got a game tonight. If I see something in the ballpark that's unique in the dugout or around or something like that, or if Spilly's getting into trouble, I'll go that direction too.
No, does he wander into it?
We wore cowboy hats last week because it was Houston against Texas.
You got to, yeah. If you're gonna play in Texas, you got to wear a cowboy hat. Spilly, does he wander into trouble from time to time? Like, are you does Spilly, does he kind of wander into trouble from time to time? Do you kind of have to, like, is he the kind of guy who might steal your notes, or what's the dynamic like?
I'm telling you, I think Spilly is going to be a star, and I'm being totally serious in this. He's not. Some of the best analysts in this game were not star players. He was a good major league player with the Rockies. He had a couple of huge games against the Marlins, so I remember that. He's the thing that I really love about Spilly. He's good sense of humor. He's not stuck on himself. He's cool with making fun of himself or whatever. He has a real curiosity about the game. So whether it's and he knows everybody because of his radio show, Loud Outs. He is like, you walk into a manager's office or a clubhouse and you're walking in with like the goodwill ambassador, and everyone sees Spilly and it's like, hey, Spilly, because all those guys have been on his radio show or he's talked to him about Apple and stuff like that. So it's that curiosity that he has. And so there's stuff that we'll talk about before the game, and he'll have an answer, or if he doesn't have an answer, he'll go get an answer from a current player, manager, hitting coach, or pitching coach. You know, you mix that with a really fun personality, and I think he's going to go far in this business. It's really fun to sit next to him. And the other partner I work with on Apple is a guy I've known for a long time, and that's Dontrell Willis, who's all kinds of fun as well.
The D-Train, former Diamondback. I remember when he tripled his first game here, and it was
Dude
almost
can hit.
Yes.
Dude can hit, and that's the fun thing about doing a game with him. He's a pitcher. You can talk pitching, but you can talk hitting with him. I mean, he had a grand slam off the scoreboard at Shea Stadium.
The Extra Point Podcast is a production of 3TV, CBS5, and azfamily.com in Phoenix, Arizona.